In Amherst, Nova Scotia, the most terrifying detail isn't what people claimed to see. It's what they claimed the house could do to sound. A knock with no hand, a bang with no cause, a room that answered questions like it was alive. The case has a name that sounds like folklore, but it sits in history with dates attached. 1878 to 1879. A young woman named Esther Cox, a small house that became a public argument. And the sentence that survives from this case, the one that turns every retelling cold, is a message witnesses said appeared above her bed. Esther Cox, you are mine to kill. This is not a story I'm telling you as proven supernatural. It's a story I'm telling you as a documented chain of claims, witnesses, publications, and consequences that followed one girl for more than a year. Because Amherst doesn't read like a haunted house tale. It reads like a town watching a person unravel in real time and not knowing whether to help her, fear her, or accuse her. Amherst in the late 1870s is a tight place. People know your routines. They know your family. They know your reputation before you open your mouth. Esther Cox lived with her sister Olive and Olive's husband, Daniel Teed, in a crowded household that included children and other relatives. This detail matters because in a small house, nothing stays private for long. And then something happened to Esther that, in any era, would fracture a person's sense of safety. Accounts state she was assaulted or threatened by a male acquaintance, an event that left her deeply distressed. After that, the story changes tone, not into magic, into symptoms, fear that won't sit still, nights that don't end, a body that feels like it's still running long after the danger is gone. Because the earliest Amherst reports don't begin with ghosts, they begin with Esther, with her health, and then the house starts answering her distress with noise. The first manifestations are the ones every poltergeist case shares: knockings, bangings, sounds in the walls, like someone walking where no one could fit. At first, you can explain it. A settling house, pipes, pranks, a stressed family, hearing patterns in random sound. Then the reports escalate into movement, objects shifting, bedclothes tugging, items flying in ways witnesses claimed did not match normal physics. And once a haunting becomes public, the story stops belonging to the family. People begin to arrive, neighbors, clergymen, curious onlookers who want to test the fear like it's a carnival trick. This is where Amherst becomes uniquely cruel, because if something is happening, Esther becomes the center of it. And if nothing is happening, Esther becomes the suspect. According to accounts, a doctor was called. The family sought medical help, not just spiritual help. They wanted a rational fix for an irrational situation. During one of these visits, the case produces its most infamous evidence, the kind that turns rumor into legend. Writing reported to have appeared on the wall by Esther's bed, threatening her by name. That message does something psychological. It personalizes the phenomenon. It shifts it from a noisy house to a targeted attack. From there, the case develops a voice, not in speech, but in pattern. People claimed the knocks could answer questions, rapping out responses like an unseen code. And as soon as the house can respond, the town begins to treat it like a personality. It gets names, it gets motives, it gets stories layered on top of whatever was really happening. One of the reported spirits in the Amherst case is remembered as Bob Nickel, described in later retellings as a shoemaker in life. Whether that identity was real or invented, The fact that it appears in the record shows how quickly people try to give fear a face. Here is the thing you have to hold in your mind at the same time. Esther was the main sufferer, and Esther was also the only constant presence around which the disturbances clustered. That makes the case compelling, and it makes it suspicious. If it was paranormal, then it targeted her. If it was human, then it followed her. Either way, she couldn't outrun it. Accounts describe periods where symptoms changed or paused when Esther was away, then resumed when she returned. By 1879, the story had traveled beyond the cottage walls. Newspapers mention Esther appearing publicly, and Walter Hubble, an actor interested in psychic phenomena, enters the case and later publishes his account. Hubble's role matters because it creates the case file feel people still associate with Amherst. He claimed to be an eyewitness, and he framed himself as someone familiar with theatrical trickery, which he believed helped him judge imposture. But it also introduces a pressure that didn't exist before. Once a story becomes publishable, every disturbance becomes potential proof. Every strange event becomes content. At some point, the case becomes something Esther is displayed inside of, rather than something happening to her. She becomes the mystery, instead of a person surviving a year of fear. Accounts describe fires as part of the phenomenon, a shift from knocks and movement into something materially dangerous. This is where skepticism hardens, because fire isn't just spooky. Fire is liability. And this is the point where the town's sympathy fractures. If your house makes noise, you're strange. If your house catches fire, you're a threat. Later, Esther worked for a man named Arthur Davison, and after his barn burned, she was accused of arson and convicted, receiving a prison sentence. Accounts also state she did not serve the full sentence, but the stain of that conviction followed her more reliably than any ghost ever could. And after that, the reported phenomena cease. That ending is both neat and unsettling because it can be interpreted in opposite ways. Prison broke the haunting, or prison removed the stage. In the decades that follow, Amherst doesn't die. It curdles into legend. The case becomes one of the most famous Canadian poltergeist stories, precisely because it has a trail of documentation and a clear protagonist. Hereward Carrington later visited and discussed the case with surviving participants and included it in his work, leaning toward Esther's innocence. That matters because it shows the story remained alive in living memory, not just print. At the same time, skeptical interpretations never stop. Hubble's theatrical background raises questions. Community pressure raises questions. Esther's trauma raises questions. The case survives because it will not settle into one explanation, a story that eats certainty. What if the entity in this case wasn't a spirit with a name? What if it was the house becoming the language of distress? What if the knocks were not a message from the dead, but a message from the living body that couldn't speak safely, so it spoke through sound instead? Or what if it was deliberate, a hoax born from desperation, attention, revenge, or the need to control a narrative after having control stolen from you? Amherst is the kind of case where you can build a courtroom argument for either side, and the truth might not be a clean, single answer. It might be a blend of fear, suggestion, community obsession, and moments nobody could explain. Because the haunting is not the only horror here. The other horror is what happens to a person when a town decides they are either a miracle or a fraud, and treats them like property either way. The great Amherst mystery endures because it is built from the oldest fuel, a private crisis that becomes public entertainment, a home that becomes an arena, a girl who becomes a headline. And whether you believe in poltergeists or not, the historical fact remains. Esther Cox lived. Something happened around her that people recorded, argued over, and monetized. So if you take anything from Amherst, take this. Some hauntings are not about proving the supernatural. They're about watching what fear does when it finds a human body to live inside. And if a house ever starts answering you, not with words, but with sound, remember the oldest rule in every poltergeist story. The moment you turn it into a performance, it gets stronger.